really wish I was good at sport ball. I want to be cool and be good at sports, but that requires me to go outside, and everybody knows that gamers immediately disintegrate and turn into dust when they step into the sunlight. If only there was some way to play sports and still have a good time with my favorite video game characters. Even if it couldn't be my favorite character, just something would do. It's not like there would be some sort of catastrophic event that would happen later on this year that would go on to ruin the reputation of my favorite character in all the media for nearly a decade and only then manage to bounce back to public relevancy with middling to highly rated video games, reanalyzing old media, and a successful film franchise. But alas, it's only July of the year 2006, and a sports game with both original giants of gaming would be insane. So I guess I'll play this.
Let's cut to the chase. How many people have actually played this game before? I'm willing to bet not that many. I only have a passing memory of it being in my DS collection growing up, with a few flashes here and there of whatever I was doing at the time playing it. Almost like a sleeper agent trying to recall that programming, because once I started playing more of this fever dream, I started unlocking more and more memories. And I gotta say, as a kid, I didn't even scratch the surface of everything this game has packed into its little game card. Which, spoiler alert, there's a lot more than you think. Which is why I decided to unlock everything I could and get the full experience of Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Now, before we jump into the nitty gritty, let's go over a little bit of the background and the premise of the game. Mario Hoops 3-on-3, also known as Mario Slam Basketball across the waters in Europe, was released back in July of 2006 for the Nintendo DS. The game was developed by fucking Square Enix, of all people. We literally could have had a timeline where Mario set up a screen to block for Cloud Strife and snag a layup against Donkey Kong. Instead, we got something similar and arguably close enough to whatever fan fiction that would end up being. More on that later. But as I'm sure you figured out by now, the game is centered around basketball. The 3 versus 3 variety to be specific. Similar to something like the famed NBA Street, the game is more arcade-like and gimmicky than the standard sports game, with plenty of dumb ways to go about having a good time on the court. Special moves, items, stage hazards, and the simple fact that the game is full of Mario characters heavily leans into the more gimmick-oriented gameplay loop. Just like normal basketball, the objective of the game is to score more points than the enemy team by gaining possession of the ball and getting it into the net. Majority of this will be happening in the tourney mode, since most of the game is comprised of various tournaments on different courts, with the objective being to complete them all. Now, why did I choose to play this game? I have no clue. I was laying down for bed one night and I got struck by the light of Nintendo with the memory of playing some weird ass Mario basketball game growing up. I get brief flashes of memory with the game and I can recall playing it a decent bit. I also remember getting pissed off at it a lot, but like many of us, I wasn't always the greatest player on the face of the planet like you guys are accustomed to now. I used to be but a meager babe in the gaming space. So I decided I was not only going to revisit the game, I was going to jump back into it with the intention of seeing everything the game has to offer. Then I'd talk about it with you guys. Which brings us to the present day. So let's talk about it. My goal to fully complete this game and unlock everything it has to offer began in the place lots of things do on YouTube. Doing some research to figure out if I made this product up in a fever dream or if this was in fact the real world. Shortly followed by booting up the game on my totally 100% legal and physical Nintendo DS handheld gaming system, along with a legitimately purchased and verifiable copy of Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Please keep the ninjas away from me. First thing I did after booting up the game is head over to the profile menu and slap my name on there. And from there, it was time to jump right into things. And by that, I mean hitting up the tutorial. For the next 20 minutes, I spent my time learning the controls and realizing that despite how simple the controls are, when paired with the mouse and keyboard and my subpar dexterity stat, this may prove to be one of the most difficult games I've played on the channel. But alas, after getting through the tutorial, I was informed that there were even more tutorials for me to get through. And that tells me there could possibly be a reward for going through them all. Another 15 minutes go by and I am not only fully prepared to hit the court now, but I also unlocked a new ball that I can display on my profile. What's even better is that whatever ball you have listed on the profile card is also the ball that gets used in the game. I think that's pretty neat. Finally, half an hour of tutorials and setup later, and we are ready to get out there and play some basketball. I decided to go with my favorite 3 characters in the Mario series, that being Luigi, Diddy Kong, and Daisy. Side note, I love the fact that the selection of characters is dropping them into the basket. That is just oozing charm, and don't even get me started on the character renders at the top of the screen. If I could get a Mario game with that art style, I would really like it. Okay, let's just leave it there. Now that we have our team selected, it's time to start the first tourney, which consists of 3 games and 2 halves per game, with the objective being to have more points than the enemy team by the end of the match. But where 3-on-3 shakes things up is the point system for the offensive team and items for the defensive team. See, the question blocks on the floor can be dribbled on to get coins. Those coins, assuming you manage to hang on to them and score, get added to the total amount of points you get upon scoring. Every shot is worth 20 points, and you can hold up to 100 coins, meaning there's potentially 120 big ones available for every normal shot made. To counteract this though, the opposing team can pick up items as well and perform certain moves to block or steal the ball. Hitting the person in possession of the ball makes them drop coins that are free for anyone to grab too. This makes for some pretty silly gameplay that can end up being sick as hell when pulling off some clean ass combinations of moves and passes. Now, defending players aren't the only hazard. Some stages like Koopa Beach, the second court in the mushroom tourney that we're in right now, really shouldn't be a spot for playing games, because at any given moment, players might end up getting pulverized by cannonballs being shot from the pirate ships in the background. Oh my god. I don't know if they're after the coins we're getting on the court or if they just don't fuck with basketball. I don't know. I can't ask either, but I digress. 3 matches later, my dream team blazed through the first tourney, unlocking a watermelon ball, an alternate outfit for Princess Peach, who cares about her, and Paratrooper as a playable character. That's 1 tourney down and already a plethora of unlocks. It was at this point that I remembered that there are special shots that can be done with each character, so I took a bit of time to figure out exactly how that worked. Because if I was going to be spending my life doing this, I needed a reason to get hyped, and seeing some crazy jump shot by Luigi would do just that. This is also probably a good time to say that I am doing this using the touchscreen controls, as if that weren't obvious enough given the cursor on the screen, but this is so I can get the authentic frustration of my touchpad not working like it should and screwing me over for content. Now, I went and labbed my special shots before jumping into the next tourney, the flower tourney. This is when things started to get more difficult. The training wheels were off and the CPU stopped just kind of standing around. For the most part, there were a few times where I genuinely thought I could lose. Between the more advanced CPUs and the stage gimmicks, looking at you, Petey, I was beginning to question my decision to not only fully complete this game, but attempting to do this when I was very sick. Not as sick as I probably sound to you guys now, but still very sick. Anyway, I decided then that I would implement a foolproof tactic. Keep away. Get the point advantage and just run away to run out some of the clock. I racked up points to gain the lead and mostly only took shots I knew I could make, which is really the special shots because they're pretty much guaranteed if you can manage to pull them off without getting interrupted. It's not the most honorable method, but it worked well enough for me to get the silver trophy. So what I didn't know was that the color trophy you earn at the end of the tourney is actually determined by the point advantage you had against all the teams in the tournament. Bronze is just for beating the tourney, bit of a consolation prize. Silver is for having a 100 point advantage when finishing a round, and for gold, I needed to have a 200 point advantage against all 3 teams and win, with each trophy tier having an unlock associated with it. At least we got some more unlocks though. Dixie Kong is now playable, and we got an alt costume for Daisy. The replay was brutal. For some reason, on the Luigi's Mansion court, everything just went wrong. I was having trouble blocking because my inputs with the mouse just wouldn't register right, leading to the enemy team scoring when I was standing at the basket trying to block. Not to mention, the ghosts in the mansion will sometimes just yank the ball out of the sky when I try to pass to a teammate and reposition, forcing me to reset a few times because despite me winning, I didn't have the point advantage for the goal. The good news though is that if you quit the match before it ends, you can actually just start back up at the beginning of the match you were on, meaning I didn't have to play through every single match to get back to the one I was stuck on. Nevertheless, I persevered and did way better than my first run through the Flower Cup, ending with almost 400 points more than Mario, Paratrooper, and Birdo. They fucking suck. Now, with 2 gold trophies in hand, we unlock the Yoshi Egg Ball, and we're moving on to the Star Tourney. Business as usual at this point, but the difficulty once again gets a bit of an upgrade against the first team I went against, comprised of Peach, Luigi, and Dixie Kong. Honestly, it felt like the game was mocking me for daring to swap my team around and play other characters. They were both accurate and deadly with items to keep me from gaining control of the Yoshi Egg, and it did get a little intense, to the point where I debated just restarting altogether for a fresh shot. I didn't let that thought consume me though. Surely I can pull this off. But then, of course, I was shafted when Dixie Kong and Peach decided to drive the ball straight to the net, which is when I gave up and accepted that a restart was just what life had in store for me. Attempt number 2, and I was fully prepared now. I knew what to expect, and I planned ahead. Unlike my keep away strategy from before, I implemented something I like to call the fuck it, just ball method. Nothing fancy, nothing coordinated, just get the ball and go straight to the hoop, and whatever happens, happens. I wasn't getting many points per basket, but that was getting made up for with a lot of baskets. A few weren't even dunks because the enemy was having absolutely none of it. Now, you may have noticed the abundance of bombs all over the place. That would be the gimmick of Wario's factory. Why Wario has a factory? No one knows. Maybe it's for the bombs. Either way, I think OSHA should pay a visit to this place because a rising platform with 0 safety railings or required protective equipment around live explosives definitely violates a few regulations. On to round 2, Junior Street. I've got the home field advantage on this court playing with Bowser Jr., but as you'll see, that doesn't matter at all. The gimmick of this stage, as I'm sure you've noticed, is the slot machine behind the basket. In order to unlock lines or pathways that contribute to a match, you need to collect purple slot coins. These coins are gathered by dribbling over the question blocks while they're purple. Once you have at least one line unlocked on the slot machine, on the next basket the wheel will spin, and if you're lucky, you'll be rewarded with extra points. I got 3 green shells and got 10 points added to my total, while my opponent, who was way behind, happened to have the entire slot machine unlocked and landed a triple, which inevitably led to me needing a reset because I no longer had that 200 point advantage. Who could have possibly guessed that would have happened? No worries though, just start again. This time I make sure I rack up a good amount of coins and I take it to the hole, putting me in a nice lead up front. We're back on the get ahead and keep away strategy. And since I'm playing so patiently and passively, why not get enough slot coins to unlock all the lines on the machine? It couldn't hurt, right? Yeah, it turns out doing that just led to me not only getting one line to match, but that one singular line match was Bowser Jr., meaning I instantly get 0 points. At this point, the game kind of started to feel like that ex that just could never decide if they wanted to love you or hate you at any given moment, dishing out boons and banes haphazardly with no real rhyme or reason. I say this because after restarting, not only did I land a triple on the slots, getting me a whopping 150 points, but I played a 377 point game without letting the enemy team score once. I think that deserves an achievement. Now, we've made it to what appears to be the final court in the game. It's not. And what better place to finish off a Mario game than Bowser's Castle? I must say, spin-off or not, Bowser's Place always has the absolute most shit happening. There's fire everywhere, in the background and on the court. There are fireballs, which are apparently called Podoboos, according to the wiki, that make you lose control of the character that comes into contact with it. And when it happened to me, Bowser just got a free shot because I thought my game bugged out. There's also this thing, and don't forget about the thwomps that can be spawned in when dribbling or running over an item box. So funnily enough, just like Junior Street, everything is a gamble here. It seems like there's a bit of a gambling problem in the Koopa family. As I'm sure you've surmised by now, the round was not easy for me to complete, but in my mind, getting the mandatory 200 point lead out of the way early will make the rest of this exponentially easier. Needless to say, I spent a long time going back and forth fighting tooth and nail, dunk for dunk, up and down the flaming court. Donkey Kong was by far my biggest op in this round, but honestly, all 3 of my opponents were Avengers level threats. They were able to get the ball and just immediately pass it off or go in straight for the goal. Add that to the fact that I was having technical issues, some of which may or may not have been user error, and it was just overall a really tough match. But you know what made it even worse? What just rubbed salt in the wound? The CPU decided that despite my dedication to this challenge that it presented to me, and my honest effort being put towards overcoming it, it was gonna cheat. Bowser, despite having been hit by the flames that are supposed to make the character run around the court like mad, somehow managed to grab the ball and just take off with it. I can't make this shit up, I swear. He got hit. How is he doing this? He shouldn't be able to move. It's cheating. The game is literally cheating. He's not supposed to be able to move. I won at the end of the day. That's what's important. After that grueling journey, Wario, Bowser Jr., and Paratrooper bring home the gold in the Star Tourney. This unlocks the Rainbow Tourney, Bowser as a playable character, another ball color, and lastly, our very first Square Enix representative, Moogle. For those not really getting to know, I stand with you. Moogles are sort of the mascot to the Final Fantasy series alongside Chocobos and Cactars. Of course, with Moogle being present, there's bound to be more secrets that point to Square's involvement with this game, but those will come up later on. For now, it's back to the grind in the Rainbow Tourney. I decided to go back to my original team composition except for swapping out Diddy Kong for Moogle just to say I used the little guy at least once. And the first court he'll be used on is Sherbet Land. Always nice to revisit Sherbet Land as a Mario Kart enjoyer. However, the gimmick of this court can be off-putting. Any failed attempts to steal a ball can cause the character to slip around on the ice. Why the lack of friction only applies after fucking up a steal attempt instead of all the time, I don't know. It's here though that I started playing this game for efficiency and logistical capabilities than memes and stupid shit. See, Luigi and Daisy have some of the easiest special shots to execute compared to others, which is important because special shots, if executed without interruption, are guaranteed to make it in the net if done within the 3-point line. Outside of the 3-point line, there's a tiny chance your teammate just won't go up for the alley-oop. Why this happens? No clue, but it makes me question having them on my squad every time. Anyway, the special shots are executed by tapping in a shape on the touchpad in a very specific order, with each character falling into a specific group that has a particular pattern to follow. For example, Mario, the male Kongs, and Moogle have an M pattern to follow, while most of the female characters follow an upside down triangle pattern, with the first point being on the left and the third point on the bottom. Luigi, in all his glory, is the only character with an L-shaped pattern. And this just goes to show you that Luigi really is number one. Now, each input has to be done in its entirety 2 times with 0 gaps in between, which is easier said than done for me using a mouse. It's also important to note that the game doesn't really give any indication as to what each character's special shot pattern is. To find out, you have to go to the special shot tutorial, select the character, go through the dialogue and explanation of the special shot mechanic, perform that character's very specific special shot technique, exit the tutorial, and repeat for every single character you want to learn with. And this information has to be memorized too. There's no like slightly transparent pattern guide on the touchscreen to help you remember during a match. If you forget your character's pattern, you just won't be using the mechanic. In some minor aspects, I think this is kind of fair. It's like a skill-based mechanic, kinda. So some level of practice and ball knowledge is to be expected, but at the same time, like, come on, man, just show me what it is. I really don't feel like putting in the mental effort to remember this shit. At this point, I have to admit something to you guys. I couldn't do it. I spent over an hour, okay, trying my hardest, leaving it all on the court to complete this damn round. This is round 1, by the way. My mouse was covered in sweat from sitting here trying to get enough points and just stay in the lead. But no matter what I did, they just kept taking the ball from me and throwing up shots that I just couldn't stop. And that is when I remembered something. I remembered that there was another way. One final method of attack that may see this task fulfilled despite my inability to use the bullshit touch control. There was something called the help buttons, and as degrading as it sounded, I used those damn help buttons. This allowed me to disregard the touch controls and just focus on playing the game. Now, using these controls means I lose access to special shots, and I can't control where my character dribbles the ball, meaning if I want to avoid getting the ball snatched while I'm collecting coins, I have to move my entire character around. So of course, it would take me a minute to learn the new button layout, but I really felt like this would make things exponentially easier for me. And with it being easier, it just might be possible to finish this game without carpal tunnel or throwing my mouse through my monitor, whichever would have come first in that scenario. Now we're off to Blue Cheap Sea, a combination of Blooper and Cheap Cheap Beach, but under the sea. The court here is completely underwater, and as we all know, in both reality and in Mario, movement underwater is a lot more sluggish than normal. That concept applies here too. But that being said though, the exclusive item here, which I'm just going to say is a mimic chest for obvious reasons, is not slowed down whatsoever. So I just need to keep an eye out on it as it chomps around the court looking for the ball. Overall, I would say this round went really smoothly, with me getting our mandatory 200 point advantage against Peach, Boo, and Paratroopa with relative ease. I can't say the same about what's coming up though, so make sure you stick around, finish the video, don't leave. Now, the final court of the Rainbow Tourney is the pirate ship. This ship is currently being attacked by a Gooper Blooper, this big guy right here, and this causes the ship to lean left and right, sending cannonballs rolling all over the place, and they explode when coming into contact with anyone. This happens a lot. Like so many times, it actually got kind of annoying because the explosion radius is so wide, I'll lose the ball because the enemy got ass blasted by a cannonball from the other end of the court. This is probably a good time to also point out that stage hazards don't appear on the little map on the touchscreen. So if it's coming from the half of the stage that you just can't see, you get shafted with no warning and no chance of dodging. Shout out though, Gooper Blooper did smack the shit out of Wario though, so I gave him a pass for causing this madness. To be honest with you, I almost felt bad for how badly I blew what is supposed to be the most difficult challenge thus far out of the water. But perhaps that was because this wasn't the final challenge. After demolishing Wario, Waluigi, and Bowser in the Rainbow Tourney finals, my Luigi sprite, seconds away from claiming the trophy, is halted by a flying ship sailing through the clouds. Moments later, a ninja, of all things, swoops in and hauls my hard-earned trophy onto said ship, leaving a growing vine in his wake. This of course means we've got one more match to get through against none other than the rest of the Square Enix guests: Black Mage, White Mage, and Ninja.
How original.
This match, taking place on the Rainbow Ship, is reminiscent of the airships found throughout Mario's more standard adventures against Bowser. There doesn't appear to be any stage gimmicks here though, unless you want to count the question blocks being a bit more difficult to rack up coins on, because instead of moving or shrinking like normal, they sort of just teleport around, making coin collecting take a lot longer than normal. But aside from that, there really isn't much to say here. I got a decent challenge from the Final Fantasy team and they showed off some of their animations, which was really cool to see, but regardless, they were defeated like those that came before, except this time, instead of only claiming a trophy as a reward, I was met with the game credits. Not entirely surprising, but this does mean that the base game is essentially over. We, however, have more to unlock, and with nearly all of the Final Fantasy characters added to our roster, we've unlocked hard mode. This means we're going through every single tourney again, but harder. Of course, there is still the incentive of getting the gold trophy, as each trophy, bronze, silver, and gold, unlocks something from each tourney. So without so much as a snack break, I jump right back into the weeds for more 3-on-3 action. This time around though, I did have a few side goals in mind. Inside each tourney, save for the Rainbow Tourney, there are minor objectives that can be completed in order to unlock new courts to play on. So I'll be working on those as I play through the hard mode. It's probably not the best time to do that, but I didn't realize what I needed to do until this point. Revisiting the Mushroom Cup on higher difficulty was in some ways easier and other ways more difficult. Obviously, the CPU is much more accurate and aggressive in trying to prevent me from scoring, but I think the fact that I've already gone through this one time allowed me to relax a little bit more and just play the game. I stopped really worrying about if I could make it with the score I needed and just shot some hoops and watched my score go up. Now, this is where the first unlock criteria is for a new stage. After beating the first round in the Mushroom Cup, Mario Stadium, the next court, Koopa Beach, is up. But here's the catch. In order to unlock its alt version, Sunset Beach, the match has to be played between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. It doesn't actually matter if this is done in tourney mode or not. In fact, it doesn't even matter if the match is won. It just has to be played within that 2-hour window. Now, I'm not sure exactly how kids were supposed to figure that out. There was no hint or indication that this was the case, but I won't complain about it too much because I love stuff like that. It'd have been meta with it, you know? The second controller board thing in Metal Gear Solid was like peak gaming to me, and it made it even better when my previous games got ripped back to me by the boss I was fighting. I like when games know their games. A quick changing of the time later, and I loaded back into the tourney on the Koopa Beach stage, and I really just hoped I did it right. This kind of just looks like Koopa Beach. Maybe it unlocks after I beat the stage. 5 minutes later and another match under my belt, I quit out of the tourney to check the exhibition mode, see if it was unlocked, and it just maybe didn't tell me. And no, it did not. Okay, no need to worry. Let's just finish up the tourney and we'll come back and figure out what's going on afterwards. Peach Field is back on the chopping block, and when I tell you I blew the enemy team out of the water, I mean it. I think I had upwards of 500 points to their less than 100. It was crazy. Nevertheless, the Mushroom Tourney hard mode is wrapped up, rewarding us with Birdo as a playable character and a new ball color. A cheap. Poor bastard. More importantly, still no unlocked stage. Why not? Turns out this unlock has to happen in exhibition mode. It just won't work in tournament mode. I don't know why, and at this point, I really don't care. So apologies for the mistake I made earlier. Anyway, I boot up an exhibition match with the CPU on super weak difficulty because why try harder when I don't need to, and the stage Sunset Beach is rightfully ours. Unfortunately, the only differences between Sunset Beach and Koopa Beach is the time of day in the background, and the shell behind the backboard goes from green to red. Everything else is the exact same gimmick, and even the same music. But regardless, it's unlocked, so it's a victory in my book. And now it's back to the main event with the Flower Tourney. DK Cruiser and Luigi's Mansion once again. Nothing really significant to talk about here since it's just the same thing, but a bit harder. Although I do want to give myself a shout out for draining this damn near full court shot with Luigi, netting me 30 points. Which also proved that you actually do get additional points for scoring past the 3-point line. I know I didn't mention it, but it was something I was thinking about. Moving over to Daisy Garden, this is where the next alternate course unlock is. In order to unlock Marlboro Garden, which I believe is another Final Fantasy representation, you have to dunk the ball in Petey's mouth 3 times and then collect the blue seed. Despite how awkward sounding that statement was, it is true. 3 dunks on the flower fetish monster, then a blue seed will be available to collect from the question blocks on the ground. The challenge, however, is that Petey doesn't always want people doing stuff with his mouth. Only sometimes. He feels like it. It was here though that I noticed Petey will occasionally fall asleep, which caused my monkey brain to connect the dots on how the gimmick works. Just like before, I'll spend my time collecting coins and just maintain possession of the ball while I wait for Petey to tire himself out from sitting there doing nothing at all. At which point it's a mad dash to dunk. I just have to hope I don't get blocked, otherwise I have to reset and wait for him to fall asleep again. Keep in mind, he naps for like 5 seconds at a time. It's actually kind of crazy. Overall, this was a fairly simple task. Wait, dunk, repeat, seed. The issue that I had though was the last step. I dunked 3 times, had my point advantage and then some, but no seed no matter how many times I dribbled on the question block. I decided to look it up because this late in the game, I really didn't feel like retrying a bunch of times only to find out I can't do this in tourney mode. Turns out, in order to get the blue seed to spawn, you have to get 3 dunks on Petey in 1/2. And you can't allow the enemy team to score during this process. Is it just me or is that like a lot to ask for? Not only am I limited in my dunking ability due to Petey himself being a timed obstacle, but I also have to be on perfect defense. And in this game, when the CPU can grab back-to-back red and blue shells, that's just a lot to go against. Whatever, dog. A baby's gotta do what a baby's gotta do. This challenge was definitely sweat-inducing. It required near perfect defensive capabilities paired with timing and technical knowledge of what the CPU is most likely to do in any given scenario. In my case specifically, it also required hogging the ball and just staring at Petey in the background while I'm running around. Not to mention a good bit of cheese when it comes to dealing with getting the ball back at the start of each turnover. Getting the seed to actually spawn took me 2 resets due to items or getting scammed and robbed, so overall not too bad. Gold trophy for Flower Tourney hard mode obtained, along with Marlboro Garden, Boo, a new ball color, and most importantly of all, Yoshi color variants. I'm sure you guys noticed the blue Yoshi I went against a little while ago, so now I can actually recruit him on my team. I really appreciate Marlboro Garden as a stage because unlike Sunset Beach, it has remixed music that leans into the theme of it being a more overrun and decrepit variation of the original. as well as the stage gimmick changing not just visually, but mechanically too. The Marlboro, which is indeed a Final Fantasy monster, sidesteps right behind the hoop, and if anyone gets too close, it spews a big ass purple cloud that just poisons you. And it has the same negative effects as the poison mushrooms from the item boxes, slowing down movement speed. Having an unlockable stage that shows clear differences makes it more worthwhile to go through the trouble of actually unlocking it. And I'm hopeful that the other stage we'll be unlocking follows this example. Also shout out Blue Yoshi. Heading into the Star Tourney, I felt the end of the tournament mode in sight. We're over the hump and on the slope down the hill, so the mission was to keep up the momentum. I wanted to give the homie Blue Yoshi a chance to sign in tourney mode, so he has replaced my third slot for the time being next to Daisy and Luigi. That ain't Blue Yoshi. Fuck it, I'm not restarting for that. Red Yoshi's on the squad. Business as usual in Wario Factory. It's funny seeing the dice block I selected as my ball get tossed around. It even rotates through all 6 of the sides as it's dribbled, which got me thinking, wouldn't it be kind of cool to see like the different balls have quirks and mechanics of their own? Like the dice block having a higher chance of red coins spawning from question blocks, or the mine ball exploding after a certain period of time, encouraging players to get to the hoop as fast as possible or risk a turnover. Of course, the likelihood of Nintendo ever remaking this game and implementing a mechanic like that is low, but not zero. Wario Factory is finished with no issues, which runs us over to Junior Street. And if there was ever a time I would want the dice ball to give me better luck, it would be now. This stage is our third unlock court, with the goal being to get a massive 800 point score. Now, could this be done with pure skill? Sure, I think it is. But am I that guy? Hell no. So, our strategy: get enough coin slots to get the max amount of slot lines paired with as many coins as I can carry, and let Jesus take the proverbial wheel. Easier said than done, of course. It was like the CPU knew what I was trying to do. They were cock blocking the purple spaces like their lives depended on it, which I guess is somewhat true, but at least try and take the ball. The fact that Bowser was just standing there with the screen set up and not trying to take it from me made it 10 times more aggravating. And don't even get me started on how short the time frame is for the question blocks to turn purple is. Sometimes it's literally just a flash of purple. There's also no way of knowing which one is going to go pimp mode, and they don't change color on the touchscreen map either. It's purely a guess as to which block will give me what I need. So in a frustrating way, this is accurate to the theming of the court. If you can't tell, I really don't like the idea of gambling. It's just wasting time and money to me. On my second reset of attempting this, I was given hope. And if you know anything about hope, it makes failure even more catastrophically devastating than normal. My strategy was working. Despite being blocked and robbed at nearly every turn, I gathered slot coins and got as close to 100 coins as I could without risking losing possession of the ball, and I climbed closer and closer to my goal. The second half of the match was coming to a close, and I had everything riding on scoring with max coins. That would get me to the cusp of victory. It was possible. During my frantic coin collection, I even got enough slot coins for max lines. This wasn't intentional, but it boosts my chances of success. Or so I thought. It was as if I was Icarus, soaring through the skies, reaching new heights that no mortal had ever fathomed. But of course, as the tale goes, Icarus flew too close to the sun, burning his wings and plummeting to the earth below, never to fly among the clouds again. In the final few seconds, with every possibility presented before me, I was given the one outcome that would send me back to an entity that I have grown all too familiar with: the reset button. Triple Bowser Jr.'s. Obtaining 3 of those little bastards granted me a net 0 points regardless of my efforts. It was truly the darkest timeline. I reset the match and tried again with attempt number 3, failure. Attempt 4, failure. 5, failure. Can you see where this is going? How many resets do you think it took before I got the score I needed? I want you to take a second and leave your guess down below in the comment section, because after this little compilation of my frustrations, I'll tell you the answer. Then you can go and edit your comment and tell me if you were right. Move! Oh my god, get the fuck out of the way! Fuck! Oh. Oh, fuck you! No fucking way. Ah! Just wasting fucking time. What the fuck? Oh, thank god. Oh no, it's not enough. Shit, I need another like 100 points. Okay. That should be 120. No fucking way. Are you serious? Ooh. Okay, game. Alright, game. Alright, game. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Fucking hate it! Whoever came up with this, I fucking hate you. Oh my god, I fucking hate you. I hate gambling. And this is just gambling. Oh my god! What the fuck? The part that pisses me off is that I can't do anything about it. I can't do shit about it. I fucking hate gambling. I hate this shit. I hate RNG. Like, I fucking hate it. I just hate it. It pisses me off so fucking bad. What are the fucking odds? Like, seriously. What are the fucking odds? What the actual fuck? Everything they fucking need, they just get. And I don't want to hear no like, oh, it's the CPU. Like, fuck that. I don't even know if I want to keep going. I really don't. Oh my god. Come on, man. Just... What the fuck, man? Just stay purple for 2 seconds, please. Like, is this not crazy? Is this shit not fucking ridiculous? Is this not fucking ridiculous? Is this not insane? Oh my fucking god. I'm ready to spaz the fuck out. I just need a break from playing this game right now. I really do. I'm there. I am at that fucking point because everything is against me. And I know, like, you know, of course casinos are always against you. That's just how casinos work. Why would they want to give you money? This is a fucking video game. And I fit. Okay. At this current moment, is it possible? Sure. But the amount of PP that is being cocked and blocked right now, okay, is so ginormous. I kind of don't think it's possible. Not with this. Not like this. I don't think it's possible like this. This is too fucking much. Like, you see this shit? Now we're at a reasonable time where I think we can kind of just worry about getting the 120. If we can just score with 120 points twice, then we're good. Oh my god. What the fuck is that recovery time? Do you see this shit? Just calm down. Just calm down. Just calm down. There's no fucking way. There's just absolutely no. What the? I'm about to fucking crash. I'm actually about to fucking crash out. I am genuinely about. I can't fucking do it. I can't do it now. It's just fucking impossible. I literally don't have enough motherfucking time. I had it. That was the run. That was the run. I had the 600 points. I had 600 points, and all I needed to do was fucking score twice with 100 points. But no, because of course, I'm not allowed to do the thing that I needed to do when luck is finally on my side. Game, please don't give me hope. Please don't give me hope. All right, all we have to do is score. I'm not worried about anything else at this point. Just score. Are you kidding me? Please let that be enough. Is that enough? Okay, holy shit. Oh my god. I fucking hate this game right now. I'm not gonna lie. I fucking hate it here, bro. Oh my god, I hate it here. So, were you feeling lucky? I clearly wasn't. This stage challenge took me 15 attempts in total to get the required 800 point score. Between the RNG of the slot coins, the RNG of the slots themselves, the CPU having the greatest item game on the face of the planet, hand cramps, and the enemy team having the defense of a literal brick wall, it took me 15 attempts. I felt like I was going crazy. But most importantly, let this be a lesson to you. Never gamble. Glare Desert is unlocked now. However, as if torturing me in a never-ending loop of highs and lows against my will wasn't enough, the next stage, Bowser's Castle, saw me getting my ankles crossed and my ass burned at every turn, leading to an inevitable reset. Or 2. But actually 3. Yeah, 3 is a great number. The point is, the rest of the tourney was completed. Fly Guy and his alternate colors were unlocked as well as a new ball color. At this point, I felt nothing. A shell of my former self. A husk, if you will. Dare I even say, hollow. This game from 2006 was breaking me from the inside out. But maybe the worst of it was over. Maybe I could finally put the rest of the trials and tribulations behind me. I decided to take a breather and relax before finding out if more rage was my fate or not by checking out the new stage I just unlocked, and I could use a Goomba ball while I'm at it. Glare Desert, as the name suggests, takes place in a scorching desert. The gimmick of the court is that giant ass tornado that roams around the place, sending back anything and anyone that comes into contact with it. What's interesting about this tornado though is that it can actually dish out punishment before the match starts, as evident by my teammate Blue Fly Guy here getting the worst of it before we get started and then getting hit a second time right after. From here, we've officially made it to the home stretch of the tourney stuff. Not to mention we've unlocked all the hidden courts, so we're finally making some noticeable progress. The end of this whole ordeal is in sight, and truth be told, I couldn't be happier. I'm enjoying my time with the game for sure, but after going through that hellscape back there, I'm ready to be done. This has me a bit worried, because if the Star Tourney put me through the ringer that badly, then what would the Rainbow Tourney have in store for me? Starting up this tourney after taking a bit of a break, I felt like I was coming back to the calmer, more positive version of myself that I started this playthrough at. Could this be cope? And a false belief that everything would be smooth from here on out? More than likely. But I was going into this knowing that when it's all over, I left it all on the court. Round 1 went pretty well. No need to reset, just a straightforward match with my point advantage being fairly easy to get. Round 2, taking place underwater, did require a bit of a reset or two, just because after the 100 point mark, the enemy team really amped up their defense. Before crossing that point threshold, things were smooth, but afterwards, the slow movement paired with the defense and the time limit really made things difficult. It really just started to seem like the gimmicks in this game are more of a hindrance than a fun addition to the gameplay. Instead of just slowing down the gameplay, maybe extend the dunk range too, so it's not just purely a negative mechanic you're forced to deal with the entire match. But I digress. Blue Cheap Sea hard mode is finished, after 2 more resets for the same problem. Round 3, the pirate ship, showed me that despite my many attempts to go into this calmly, I was in fact still very much pissed off at this game. I was ready for the tournament mode to be done, and I could feel myself slipping. Someone please explain to me why Diddy Kong, a speedy type character, is being outpaced by Bowser, a power type. Does the hard mode just mean the CPU disregard typing? I could look past this if I was dribbling the ball with Diddy Kong and Bowser was just sprinting normally. My problem though, is this motherfucker is holding a guard and still keeping up. But of course, I'm made of blood and guts and shit, and not ones and zeros, so naturally I'm at a complete disadvantage. But come on, this is ridiculous. And don't even get me started on the artillery this ship is packing either, because I'm getting tossed around like a goddamn salad and I have no say in the matter. 3 attempts and a half-court shot from Diddy Kong later, and we are finally at the end of the road with tourneys. I'll say that the Rainbow Tourney hasn't been overall as bad of a tourney as the Star Tourney was, but I think it's getting to me because I'm so close to being done, and now I have a deep understanding of just how bad this game can actually get. Unlike before though, my only mission at this point is to win with a 200-point advantage. Standard practice now. And what's even better is there are 0 stage gimmicks. It's just me, them, and the Goomba. The finish line is within reach. This was by far the most crushing match yet. It was my skill level pitted against not just insanely capable computers, but computers that apparently have all their stats boosted to max in all categories. They're faster than me, they shoot better than me. It even seemed like they could go through their animations quicker than me. Better luck with items, sniper aim when attacking, sometimes completely disregarding the way some mechanics are even supposed to work. It was brutal. At one point, I even tried using both the controller and the mouse simultaneously so I can move around the court and still try to use special shots for a guaranteed shot. How that was supposed to be any different than just using a mouse and keyboard like normal, I don't know. But that's the level of desperation I sank to in order to find a way. It was impossible to have a moment to breathe. I was losing hope. I was nearing the edge, and if I crossed it, I would have to throw in the towel, admit defeat, and just walk away from this section of the game. It wasn't something I wanted to do, but the more I reset, the more the thought of just putting down the controller and going to bed called out to me. Mentally, I just wasn't sure if I could take it anymore. And then it hit me. I'm on a very special legally purchased copy of Mario Hoops 3-on-3 and legally purchased physical hardware. I had the option of save states, baby. It may not be the way I originally wanted this to go, but at the end of the day, crossing the line with a little bit of help along the way is what a lot of anime has taught me about in my nearly 24 years of life on this rock. And finishing this shit with some save states is a lot better than not finishing it at all. It was happening. It was actually happening. I inched myself forward. After every shot scored, I just made another save. I was actually gonna finish this. I'm no longer forced to sit here raging and stopping myself from seeing red. I could finally rest my tired eyes and broken hands. No more pain, no more suffering. The task was finished. I could rest. But as I pressed F8 to pause my recording and work on this very script that I'm reading from now, my aching and cramped fingers pressed the shift key at the same time, sending my game back to a previous save state before my victory. I finished the Herculean task set before me, only to be thrown halfway back. And unlike before, where I could call out the game for its schemes that it plotted against me, or its unfair treatment of one that dedicated so much time and effort to it, I had no one to blame but myself and my own misdoings. Despite my victory, I had to traverse the fires of hell this game put me through once again. And so I did. Luckily, I had another save state that wasn't starting me out with as many points, but still better than starting over completely. This meant I only had to retrace roughly half of my total steps. I'll take my victories when I can. Now, to put this into perspective for you guys, the last time I was hard stuck playing this game, I had to reset the match 15 times. And I haven't used a save state at all until now. I actually forgot that save states were a thing because I'm still kind of new to PC gaming. My computer isn't even a year old yet. Anyway, just getting to the end of this match with my 200-point lead, when I'm starting with 150 points already, took me 27 resets. 27. I cannot stress to you enough how tired I was. My eyes hurt from looking at my screen. My ears and my brain were crying from listening to this very intense and fitting song. My hands, my poor hands, they were mangled and mauled, but it got done. Again, once more I achieved victory over the demon, and this time I not only marked another save state on the victory screen for assurance, but I also made sure to just manually pause my recording to work on the script. it was officially over. All 4 tourneys, normal and hard mode, were finished at gold standard, which also unlocked the alternate colors for white mage, black mage, and the ninja, as well as a new ball and pro level CPU difficulty in the exhibition mode. The first thing I wanted to do was finish out the character roster. That's right, we're missing one final character, and for that we need to head over to Glade Desert. This can be done in exhibition mode, thank God, so for the sake of my mental state, I'll be dealing with easy CPU difficulty. Load into the desert and keep an eye out for a certain cactus that is all too familiar to Final Fantasy players. It's not hard to miss actually, just look for the splash of green that sticks out like a sore thumb and the wash of orange and brown tones that make up the desert plains. Once spotted, dribble the ball on its head a few times and it'll sprint away like a bat out of hell. From there, just win the match and Cactar is unlocked. I do want to point out that I'll mostly be using the mouse and keyboard controls for some challenges coming up, but with the match won and Cactar unlocked, we officially rounded out the character roster in the game and took us that much closer to total completion.
What?
Next on the chopping block is going through a few matches in exhibition mode on specific courts. Playing a match at Daisy Garden earns the yellow and green ball, which I think makes sense. Daisy has a yellow orangey color scheme and the location of her court is in a very green garden. Very on brand, I'd say. After that is Bowser's Castle. Same deal, just play the match here and earn the ball. But this one doesn't make a lot of sense to me as far as the color scheme goes. The reward is the purple orange ball, which as far as I know, Bowser has nothing to do with those colors. At least not till later when he's got the whole like Bowser Pitmobile in 3D World, but that's light years from now in the timeline. Following up Bowser's Castle is the location of my greatest battle yet, the Rainbow Ship. Now this one, unlike the other 2 courts, requires a win as well as 0 question block usage. You accidentally dribble on the panel and get a coin, back it up and go back to the start. Of course, me being me, I had no problems with this whatsoever, because I just turned off the question panels before the match. Funny enough, turning off the question panels showed me that you actually score a standard amount of points per shot when the panels are off. Every basket is 2 points, anything past the 3-point line is 3 points, and a special shot is worth 4 points, which just goes to show there's a surprising amount of thought put into this little game. Anyway, completing this objective unlocks the black and red ball, which looks cool as hell but has nothing to do with rainbows or ships. But since we're already looking at my balls, I figured I'd mention that the silver and gold balls were unlocked through normal gameplay by earning 2,500 and 5,000 points on my profile respectively. Now, remember how I said the tourney stuff was done? Turns out 2 of the unlockable basketballs are unlocked by completing a match in a tourney under certain conditions. Luckily for me, there's no need to put myself through hard mode again, so the easiest way to go about this was to go to the normal version of the Mushroom Cup. First thing we're going to do is win a match using exclusively 3-point charge shots. In theory, this shouldn't be too difficult, especially with the mouse because I can shift positions while charging the shot up so I don't get the ball taken. In practice, this was extremely easy and straightforward. I'm not sure if the charge shot was entirely necessary or if I could just get lucky with the normal 3-point shot behind the line and it would count. Personally, I really didn't feel like risking it and having to start over, so the world may never know. Getting all 3-point charge shots unlocks the red, white, and blue ball, and I don't think it has anything to do with Eagle Land. That was a reference. My guess is that this color scheme is actually a reference to the Harlem Globetrotters, a super talented and skilled group of basketball players that don't really play the game in a competitive capacity. They're a bit more performative in their ball knowledge. Take away the completely unpredictable nature of the game where players go head to head in a battle of skill, fundamental knowledge of the sport, and physical prowess, and instead throw in some scripted comedy with elite handles set to funny music, and you've got the Harlem Globetrotters. This ain't disrespect either, I love those guys. I actually had a signed basketball from them as a kid, and it was one of my most treasured possessions. I do find it interesting that this color scheme was unlocked through 3-pointers specifically though. It would make way more sense being unlocked through special shots like our next one is. The star ball, like I just mentioned, is unlocked by winning a tourney match using only special shots. No basic bitch shit around here, no siree. This is a little more skillful just because of the nature of a special shot, but with the CPU sort of just walking around, it went as smoothly as it possibly could. At this point, there's only 2 more balls to unlock, which are tied to wireless multiplayer. And believe it or not, in big 2026, I shockingly couldn't find anybody willing or able to play this game with me for the video. But we're in luck, because if 14 years as an only child will teach you, if you want to play multiplayer, you're gonna have to play against yourself. I spent many nights playing the racing mode in Sonic Heroes by myself. I am very familiar with the concept. With another instance of Mario Hoops booted up and paired with the original, it was time to get started. The first ball I'm going for is the pumpkin ball, which is obtained by losing 5 games in a row in wireless exhibition matches. I'm not sure what poor sap on the playground earned this legit, but I'm hoping they were at least happy to get a consolation prize after getting their ass kicked back to back by the school's resident gamer. 5 long and drawn out games later and the pumpkin ball is obtained, leaving 1 more left over. Just win 7 games and it's ours. Roughly 10 minutes of scoring and waiting later, and I officially unlocked the final ball in the game, the rainbow ball. And at this point, I really felt accomplished. I have everything in my profile unlocked. What else could there possibly be to unlock? The first extra multiplayer mode I wanted to check out was Dribble Race, where the objective is to get 100 coins from the question panels on the ground and get to the goal before your opponent. And I have a feeling my opponent won't be much of a problem. This mode can actually be played by up to 4 people instead of the standard 1v1, so this game, technically speaking, has something for everybody to enjoy. Upon booting up this mode, I pick 1 character and have the choice of 2 completely unique stages, Peach's Castle and Sunshine Road. Now, in my mind, I can picture this game mode being fairly competitive due to the way it's set up. It's essentially just a giant open court with green shells getting launched down lanes or tires rolling around the place and question panels scattered around. In a situation where there are multiple players in a match, it would be a fight for every coin. A fight caused by scarcity. See, each panel only has about 5 to 10 coins total until it disappears, which then forces you to run to another one. Eventually, players will end up gunning for the same panel, leading to the more intense moments folks will end up going through. The second extra multiplayer mode is called Coin Hunter, with the objective being to have the most coins by the time the clock hits 0. Of course, this is a Mario game, and this particular minigame is very reminiscent of the Mario Kart Battle Arena mode. Players can get items found in the base game and use them to knock the coins out of the other players and steal them. Once you hit 0 coins, you're out. Now, I'm sure you've noticed the stage on screen right now. This is Mario Classic 1-1, clearly based off the original Super Mario Bros. World 1-1. As simplified as the arena is, the inclusion of the warp pipes to get quickly across the map, as well as the complete absence of any basketballs, makes this multiplayer mode my favorite. No basketball gimmicks, just grab items and fight it out. There's also the inclusion of another map, Mario Classic 8-4, but more impressive than that, if you stick around and win 5 matches of Coin Hunters in a row, 2 more arenas unlock, Mario Classic 2-2 and Strange Forest, which is by far my favorite. Square Enix and Nintendo really made a game worth playing with how much content is packed in here. And we're not even done yet. We're close, but not quite. This game seems to just take a lot of notes from Mario Kart, from the items to even some of the stages. So why not the time trials as well? Just like in the multiplayer mode, you can play Dribble Race, but this time the only opponent is the clock, which is a fiercer opponent than you think with these pretty strict times to beat. Same 2 stages as before, but if you beat the record on both stages, a 3rd one is unlocked. Rainbow Road.
It's called a road, it's called a rainbow road.
Which is pure hell. I don't know who on the dev team thought this shit was okay, but it's not. Not at all. With that though, at long last, Mario Hoops 3-on-3 is completely finished. For real this time. This is page 21 that I'm currently on right now in this script, which is like my longest script thus far, but I gotta go over some of my general thoughts about the game. In just a few words, surprisingly deep mechanics, and it knows what it is. Nobody goes into this game expecting something insanely complex and entirely innovative. It's a spin-off sports game in the Mario franchise. Now don't get me wrong, Nintendo makes great games. They are one of the best in the business when it comes to end user products. Shitty business practices aside, But in my opinion, I feel like some of the deeper mechanics and especially the amount of hidden stuff to unlock in the game comes from Square Enix. There's way more content than I anticipated. In total, I've got roughly 8 hours of raw footage, which doesn't include all the time spent with the recording pause to eliminate some of the repetition. This is also the amount of time spent with a game I had assistance with when it comes to unlocks and secrets. I can only imagine how long it would have taken me to unlock everything blind. Speaking of which, the gameplay loop being arcadey basketball is a fun concept. I would honestly say with confidence that Mario has some really good sports games, but Hoops in particular is pretty responsive given the nature of DS touch controls, and for what the game is, it handles itself really well and definitely has a bit of a skill curve to it. If you take the time and understand the gameplay, you can start pulling off some cool ass moves. Passing the ball back and forth to get coins and make an opening and throwing up the ball towards the hoop, ending with the alley-oop to lock in a 120-point shot. It's genuinely really cool for a while. If someone sat down and played this game for a bit, I think they would have a great time for that short instance. But if they're forcing themselves to endure long, drawn-out gameplay sessions, it does get old somewhat quickly, especially once you figure out what the CPU's tendencies are in any given scenario, and when you're attempting to complete very specific objectives that are set at the end of a mandatory series of games. You can imagine that it would get stale after about 10 minutes. Overall though, I think Mario Hoops 3-on-3 is a good little game. Not amazing, nothing groundbreaking, but not bad either. There's plenty of neat things to see and unlock, and it's pretty fun to see all the references to other projects. Not to mention the inclusion of Final Fantasy characters, both playable and not. I imagine if I wasn't playing this game for content and was just going through it on my own, my rating would be a little higher, but maybe not by that much. 7 tie-wearing bananas for you. Oh boy. Yeah, this was a long one. I'm looking at about an hour and 30 minutes of just voiceover. If you made it this far, thank you. Like seriously, thank you. I really appreciate it. You may have noticed that this one has taken a bit of time. I'm not on my normal schedule for uploading right now, and this little guy is the reason. Yeah, I just got him. His name's Rico. So I've been dealing with that. And like I mentioned before, I was also sick. But either way, I really appreciate you making it this far, watching the whole thing through. Please leave a like and a sub down below, and let me know in the comment section what I should do for the next monkey in a suit. I really want to hear from you guys. And with that being said, keep hanging in there.